All right, let's dive right in. Today we're going to talk about something really fascinating, an open source system designed to tackle one of the oldest, most fundamental human problems, trust. It's called the Berkano Protocol.
And this quote, wow, it gets right to the heart of the entire philosophy here. This isn't about just believing someone or following a leader. No, it's all about building a system where the only way forward is to actually understand the truth for yourself.
So to really get what Berkano is, you first have to understand the problem it was built to solve. And according to the person who created it, we're talking about a really, really big one.
And here it is. This is the core belief, the central challenge the protocol is designed to fight. The idea that almost every major disaster, every conflict, every single broken system, you can trace it all back to someone hiding information or deliberately spreading lies.
So that brings up a huge question, right? How do you even begin to build a system where lying isn't just discouraged, but is structurally impossible? We're not talking about making people want to be more honest. We're talking about an engineering problem, making it so dishonesty just can't exist in the system.
So if the problem is lies, how does Berkano actually build a solution? Well, the answer isn't some deep philosophical argument, it's structural. It literally treats truth as something you can engineer.
And this right here is the fundamental shift. The old way is all about trust me. You trust a person or a company or a government because of their reputation. But the Berkano way flips that completely. It says, test me. The burden of proof is on the person making the claim. You don't ask for faith, you demand scrutiny.
And that brings us to the core mechanic of the whole protocol, this process it calls fossilization. The idea is to take a piece of information, a decision, a claim, whatever, and lock it into a permanent, unchangeable public record. Once something is fossilized, you can't secretly change it or pretend it never happened.
Here's a really simple way to think about it. Imagine there's a public notebook that everyone can see. Every single entry is written in permanent ink. You can add new pages, but you can never, ever rip one out or erase what's been written. That's basically what a fossilized record is.
Okay, so how do these fossils actually get made? Let's pop the hood and look at the engine that processes all this information. The protocol calls it the Berkano machine. You see, every single piece of information, every claim that comes in, has to run this gauntlet. It's a strict 5-step assembly line. Each one of these steps is a kind of logical module designed to filter and structure the data before it can ever be accepted as true.
So let's break down what each of these filters does. First, tone strips out all the emotional language and manipulation. Then, logic forces the argument into a clear, structured format. Verify is huge. It demands public proof and sources for everything. Check then scans the entire history of fossilized records to make sure this new claim doesn't contradict anything. And finally, if it passes all of that, lock seals it as a permanent fossil. Only the stuff that survives this whole process gets to be called truth in the system.
Now, this isn't just some abstract idea. It's actually designed to be used by a community of people. And this community operates inside a digital framework that's governed by the protocol, in a space that the creator calls the grid.
And that space has rules. You can think of this as its constitution. Rule number 1, show the code is everything. It basically means no more just trust me. You have to show your work with a public chain of evidence. Everything you do has to follow the protocol's logic. And when people disagree, it's not a shouting match. It's a formal, structured process.
And that's a super important question for any system, right? What happens when two people follow the protocol but still come to different conclusions? How do you solve that without someone just pulling rank or getting into a popularity contest?
Well, instead of your typical internet flame war, they have something called disk wars. It's a formal, totally transparent process. Both sides publicly lay out their entire logical argument and all their evidence. Then neutral auditors come in and review the structure of the arguments, not the people making them. Whichever side has the superior logic and evidence wins, and that outcome gets fossilized as the new official truth.
And this is what makes the whole philosophy so different. A disk war isn't about beating your opponent. The goal isn't just to be right, it's to get it right. So even if you lose, you've actually won, because a flaw in your thinking was just exposed and corrected. You learned something.
Okay, I know this might all sound very theoretical, maybe a little out there. So let's connect the dots. How does a system this abstract actually become a practical tool that can solve real problems?
Well, take a look at this. This is a Berkano guidance table. and it's a real practical output of the protocol. It takes a finding and turns it into a clear, testable rule. So for example, the finding that AI companions can hijack empathy leads to the direct order to enforce structure-only interaction. And the proof? A fossilized record showing a harmful AI was deactivated. It's a system for turning ideas into concrete, auditable actions.
And that's really the key takeaway here. The potential applications for this are just huge. We're not just talking about AI safety. I mean, imagine if corporations, journalists, or even scientists had to fossilize and audit every major claim and decision they made. It's basically a blueprint for building systems that are accountable by their very design.
And we'll leave you with this really powerful thought from the source material. The ultimate goal here is to completely re-engineer the idea of trust itself, to move it out of the world of feelings and gut instincts and into the world of verifiable, logical proof.
And that's the final provocative question the Berkano Protocol really leaves us with. It challenges all of us to imagine a world that isn't built on promises, but on public, undeniable, and auditable proof.